Hey. Right now, I'm just grounding my energy. I know it's been a while since I've been live. Hey. So grounding my energy is basically like centering myself, taking my breath, like expressing gratitude, clearing my mind, like of like the immediate thoughts that come up, just clear them out, and just like really like feel the moment. I'm in a beautiful space, so I'm really enjoying the feeling that I'm in right now as far as my environment. So if you can take a moment to take a deep breath. There's definitely a level of peace that comes with that. Okay. So I know it's been a minute. I wasn't able to save the live that I was on earlier, but I'm here now. And so what we're going to do is just get right into it, and whoever's meant to come through will come through. And since being away from like not being live on IG as often as I usually am, I have been able to really pour into myself, pour into my business, pour into the projects that I have been, handling and taking care of. So now I'm in the space where I can like really show up and like be able to drop those gems, those downloads that I receive that I believe that will actually be helpful within your journey. So I'm looking forward to really like launching memberships that I have in store that I will be revealing later on in the month for May, as well as some programs that I think that will be helpful for the collective, especially those who love to explore, love to deepen their connection with self, and really learn different aspects of themselves. And really that's about self-mastery and integration and empowerment. And I really want those who vibe with me to be able to elevate and to really see and connect with their true version, which we usually put on a pedestal as our higher self. So I'm really looking forward to launching these programs, memberships within the coming month or so, that will be able to support the collective, especially going through the energetic shifts that we've been experiencing as of lately. So, from what I gathered, a lot of what the collective is experiencing now is exhaustion. Okay, so exhaustion in a manner where they just are barely able to show up for themselves or for making money to survive. A lot of people are in survival mode, is from what I'm seeing. Some people have become so frustrated that they have unplugged any kind of interaction if it's not beneficial to them in the sense of material gain and survival. So that means they probably unplugged from social media. They probably unplugged from social circles, connections or whatnot. And so they're actually saying, hey, I don't want anyone really engaging with me right now because I barely can show up for myself. I'm also sensing an energy where people, if anything, if they're going to be connected, they want to be entertained. So if it's not light and hearty, like in a sense of like heart-filled videos or entertainment, where they can kind of kiki a little bit to make them feel a little bit better, I'm seeing that a lot of individuals are like only want surface level interaction, because again, the energy that I'm getting, that a lot of us are in a raw, RAW state. So that means that there has been some woundings, there has been some unhealed parts of us that are just so sore and so raw, because it's looking like scraped skin. It's looking like bruised skin, to the point where it's like I don't have the capacity to endure anymore. And so those individuals are plugged in, or were plugged into all kind of energy vampires, and vampires not in the sense of just people, but just things that wanted to siphon your energy. Unfortunately, those individuals allowed their energy to be siphoned in unhealthy manners, like to a degree where they weren't really showing up authentically. They were more so programmed to be like this facade, live in this energy. I'm even hearing matrix, but we're all in a matrix. And some of us have a level of awareness that sees beyond the matrix. And so some individuals, when they are feeling so burdened, they can't see beyond where they are right now. They can only deal with surviving, only deal with being able to barely make it, in a sense. Okay? So, but it's like a pressure cooker. Now, that pressure cooker, I did say that it was going to be off the chain for 2025, 2024, 2025. And I said that there were going to be some uncomfortable moments for those of you, especially if you're not willing to do the work, you're not willing to go inward. You were going to, and you haven't been making the changes as far as your household, getting your house in order, like your affairs. Like that was one of the key things that I kept emphasizing. Even relocation, doing what you need to do to get to where you need to be. And so some of those messages fell on deaf ears, some of them didn't. But hopefully there is still some time for you all to be able to adjust, to calibrate, so that you can, again, be a little bit more comfortable, be a little bit more clear in where you're going and what you're needing to do, so that you can be in alignment. But that pressure is just, all it's doing is helping you, if you have the right lens, see that it's actually helping you to make some real concrete decisions, so you can stop vacillating here and there and picking and choosing off the whim, instead of really being intentional with your decision making. So what does that mean? So the healing part, the things that you need to let go of, the habits, the places, the people, the environments. What do you need to let go of? What do you need to accept accountability for? What are you making excuses for? We have to come to a point where it's like a thing where you can't look outside of you and blame all these different individuals or society or systems or all of that. At some given point, there has to be accountability. And if we are truly calling ourselves gods, goddesses, divine, and all of these things, then we cannot hold the title of victim. You got to choose. Because if you are divine, and if you are a god or a goddess in all of those beautiful aspects, there comes a point where you're not allowing yourself to be the victim anymore. Where, yes, you are a survivor in a sense. Yes, you're an overcomer. You're a warrior. You're all of those things. But at some point, that hat has to switch. Especially if you want to be under that type of identity of being a god and you're a manifester and you are co-creating with your creator with the realities and all of these things. If you really believe those things, now it's time to actually show up and do it and be it, embody it. But in order to truly do that, you first have to go through those darker aspects of yourself. You first have to look at those things in a detached state as possible so that you're not so emotionally involved in those various aspects where you're feeling like you're darn near crazy. But being able to look at those parts of yourself and say, you know what, I've been there, I've done that, I've experienced this, I've learned that. Now it's time for me to move forward. And how do I move forward? First, I got to feel what I feel, because a lot of us are in denial of what we're feeling. We're in denial of what we're experiencing. We're still purchasing things as if, there's not room for us to actually save some of that and invest it in something else, or put it towards our soul growth and invest in our spiritual journey. We would rather spend money and splurge just to treat ourselves so that we can temporarily feel better, but it's not doing us, it's not serving us. And I'm just here to tell you that pressure that you're experiencing is only to make you shift, to make that decision. Otherwise, what's going to happen, it probably more than likely will get worse. And then it's like a thing where you feel stagnant or stuck in a situation where you keep cycling in and out until you do what you need to do as far as your inner work. Okay. And that's all that is. It's just that pressure cooker to make you make certain decisions, to make you uncomfortable so that you can go into your purpose or what you're here to fulfill, whatever that mission is. This is not a Christian bandwagon. This is not a religious bandwagon, but we're all here for a certain purpose. Whether you came here to learn how to fly, to experience love, or to be a healer, whatever it is you're supposed to be doing here in this lifetime, you need to go ahead and do it. That's it. And the more you go against that, the more resistance you're going to feel. That's all. Okay. But I put up a story a few days ago that I got a lot of engagement on. Okay. This particular story was about, there is a requirement to have a certain percentage of melanin in order for this energetic shift, this next major shift to occur. Okay. And that there's no other being, entity, or anything that can hijack that particular next energetic shift. They can't take over the wave. They can't even initiate it. They can't even jumpstart it without a certain percentage of melanin interaction or engagement. So I wanted to go deeper because I got a lot of questions. I got a lot of love from it. those who are in the know already, those who have already tapped in and received certain downloads to be like, yep, sure enough, yep, check, that's right. But there were some people that wanted me to further explore that. And instead of individually responding to all these people that were asking me certain questions in my DMs about that story post that I did a few days ago, I would rather just have a live and just go in and then post it for everyone to actually refer back to if they're not able to come on the live. So basically for the past 2 years, my downloads have been really potent. They have been really deep. Something that I have never imagined in this lifetime, that I would receive so many downloads that have been confirmed within a very short period of time. And if you don't know, I am a divine multidimensional channel, which means that I'm able to communicate with your guardian angels, your loved ones who have transitioned or crossed over. I'm able to connect with angels, deities, entities, in various aspects. I'm able to channel the energy from a planet, from a pet, from an animal, because all of it is energy. Now, some of us have different accesses, okay? That's the foundation. So we have different levels of access. And the higher level of degrees of access warrants, there's a requirement. There's various requirements to allow you to even access certain information. And one of the prerequisites, one of the qualifications is having a certain degree of melanin. That's not my rule. I didn't make it up. If you really check in and if you pay attention to your environment, you will see that nothing can really operate to its best unless there is some melanin involved. A certain degree of melanin has to be involved in order for it to work, in order for it to thrive, in order for it to develop, in order for it to evolve. Okay? And from what you see, whether it's cultural wise, whether it's survival wise, whether it's swag wise, whether it's design wise, whatever it is, if there's no melanin, you can tell when there's no melanin activity, and you can tell when there is. And it's just an energy signature, as well as it goes deeper as far as scientific base. But if you want to look at just simply the surface level, the energy signature is really resonant and connected to melanin. Now, we've been told, unfortunately, we do have unhealed parts of us, those who are indigenous, those who have a higher concentration of melanin, where we're saying, okay, we're the gods and goddesses, and the other people are this. They're down below us. That's why we run the world, and sometimes we have that superiority complex in a lot of ways, thinking that we're the melanated beings and those are the non-melanated beings, and calling that distinction. And I do have to put some clarity on that, because I have learned, based on my downloads, I haven't even got into the scientific studies of it, but there are levels to melanin. There is more than just one type. Okay? And they're studying that right now. Now, a lot of them, they already know a lot of this information, which is why they need our energy to harvest and to create certain models of reality, is from what I'm hearing. So different expressions of reality, they need the melanin in order to make it possible. Whether it's constructing something for space, whether it's products, cosmetics, whether it is organ transplants, whether it's whatever it is even a neighborhood. They can say whatever they want to say, but if there is no melanin, a higher percentage of melanin in a certain location, is boring. It's dry. There doesn't feel any life. It feels sterile. Okay, and so based on the information I received, I was very inquisitive. I wanted to know, why was I receiving such potent information? And some of the information I haven't shared with the collective, some of it I have. Some of it I received green light, and some of it I just simply kept to myself. But I'm going to start more and more revealing some of those things. And if you with me, you vibe with me, then you hear. If you're not, then you just fall by the wayside. But the information is needed to be released in this sense because there are people that are ready for it, and those who are open to receive it will. Those who are willing to have a broader perspective and not be so narrow-minded and not be so conditioned to the conformities of what is out here, to see beyond what is being just simply presented to us and be able to allow their consciousness to expand beyond this reality based on perception. And a lot of times, we are programmed. Even me, even, your next door neighbor, all of us have been programmed to a degree, but it's up to us to really peel back those layers and get back to self, to get back to our original self. And that may take many lifetimes for a lot of us. That may take some sacrifice. It may take some saying a no to certain things that maybe feel good temporarily, but in the end, it doesn't serve us in a sense. So in order to get that clarity, what we do, we have to clean out our vessel. We have to be able to have that discipline to get up in the rising times and exercise, or be more intentional about our day, and be intentional during the day as far as, okay, we did the work earlier in the part of the day, so what we're going to do in the midday, in the evening. And also allowing ourselves to be open to what the Creator and our true selves want to show us to explore. You also have to be open to that and not be so rigid to indefinite scheduling. Being intentional as far as starting your day and ending your day, or even having that midday, but also being open and flexible to adapt, okay, to your experiences day to day. And that can take a lot if you are not looking at it in the right lens. But all it is just holding yourself accountable to a degree, but giving yourself space to explore. And I think that that's what a lot of us are having an issue with, is allowing ourselves to explore, but we want to escape as opposed to explore. Escaping our current reality is not doing the work. So whether you're being tapped in to an extent to the point where you want to extend out of here and you're not really dealing with your day-to-day experiences, that's escapism. If you're depending on certain herbs or plant medicine in order to not feel your current reality, that's escapism. If you want to constantly be channeling or constantly doing meditations or just wanting to feel numb to your current reality, that's escapism. Okay? You did come here to be in the avatar, to live in a human experience. So you gotta be in touch with that. But it's balance to it. Learning not to just be all of that, knowing you're more than that, but also integrating the idea that you do have a purpose. Okay? And you have that choice of deciding what you are going to do in this lifetime. What are you here to come into experience? Okay? So from the downloads that I've been receiving, I've been getting these concepts of melanin, of key access, like cards. If you're familiar with like the little cards where, you get access points on different levels and buildings. I know certain levels are restricted access, and if you don't have that certain code to allow yourself to be able to access certain key points or levels, then you won't get them, that accessibility. So it requires certain qualifications. I'm also hearing, even though there's the same thing, is I'm hearing prerequisites, okay? And so within my story, I did detail how there was a certain percentage, and I believe it was anywhere from like 80 to 90% percentile of melanin that is needed in order for this next energetic shift. And this next energetic shift is major from what I'm gathering. I'm even getting the energy of explosive. So when I see explosive, it's not saying necessarily a physical explosion, but a lot of us are coming online and we're going through upgrades that we have never imagined that we would be experiencing in this lifetime. And so some of that is being able to have these untapped potential being realized. So those abilities of moving objects, seeing beyond the wall, like a physical wall, and actually can see individuals, objects, people, whatever behind that wall, actually being able to see that, being able to see even beyond the wall. So from what I was seeing, you can see 4 walls, right? But in the corner, there is a darker element of energy that is intersecting between these walls, and being able to see even beyond that physical wall, the energy behind it. Meaning, believe it or not, you see your reality in your day-to-day. You see buildings, you see streets, you see people, but there is a layer even behind that. Okay. There's a layers to it, and I've been receiving insight on how I'm able to see beyond. Like, I was able to peel away the layer of a city that I'm in to actually see the energies and beings that are holding the infrastructure and what it took to actually create the infrastructures. Now, not on plant medicine. I'm not on anything. I'm fully conscious. I'm fully aware of what I'm communicating. I was literally able to have a glimpse of the energy behind the construction, the actual development of the city, the energies that are actually keeping it all together, the energies that are, how can I say, one word I'm hearing, hosting, but the guardians of this current dome that I'm in. So if you've been looking at my stories, if you follow me on TikTok, as well as I think I posted 1 or 2 videos here on IG where I was explaining there are domes of reality, domes within domes. So if you're in a certain city, it may very well have energetic grid lines where it's holding a certain energy or an entity that may be president or presiding over that, overseeing that particular location. So if you go to the Caribbeans, I guarantee you, you're going to feel an energy that is, I keep hearing hosting, so I'm going to go with it, that is hosting or guarding that particular dome. You go to Miami, you're definitely going to feel that. You go to DC, you're definitely going to feel that. Some places in the South, you feel it. Louisiana, New Orleans, you feel it. In different locations internationally, whatever it is, there's different domes, and it hosts a certain frequency, a certain energy. And if you are not, I'm hearing the word congruent, but if you're not in alignment to that energy, more than likely you're going to have a bad experience there. Okay, you may not even like that place. You don't know why. I don't like that place. I don't know, the vibe was off or whatever. And it's not you per se, is you not being in alignment to that frequency in that particular dome. And then sometimes there is an energetic exchange that is needed to happen in order for you to be in that certain dome. So you know how there's sacred lands, especially indigenous and communal like lands, that a lot of us, we do not honor, we do not hold sacred. And so we build over it or remove certain things, especially like burial grounds. Sometimes they don't appreciate or consider those landscapes sacred. and they may build over communities that used to exist, and then you wonder why certain incidents happen, casualties occur, because there was not an honoring of the energy that was there in that land. Okay. So going back, it's just so much information. Going back to the key card access. From what I was gathering, there has been a lot of indigenous, spiritual, sacred rituals that have been hijacked by lesser melanated individuals. From medicinal energies, I'm even hearing folklore, storytelling, traditions. There's been a lot of hijacking and interceptions. And a lot of it has to do with colonialism. A lot of it has to do with just trying to make a dollar, or, oh, that was a good idea, so I'm going to go sell it and repurpose it and make it mine and then put my label on it. There has been a lot of that, whether it's through retreats, whether it's through medicinal, like herbal medicine and treatments with like holistic practices. A lot of it has been, like a lot of our traditions have been used and repurposed and then put another stamp on it as something else or as theirs. No matter what, you will be able to tell the difference between a higher melanin concentration used in that particular space as opposed to a lesser melanated concentration. So when I was observing the downloads of the energies that want to take over and like want to hook themselves in certain experiences because their experiences are limited based on their level of access, they want to be able to have those said experiences some kind of way. They want to be able to enjoy life and thrive in manners that we kind of take for granted with the higher concentration of melanin. Even if you're not spiritually in tune like that and you don't even call yourself spiritual or whatever, when you have a higher concentration of melanin, just being able to have that as one of the prerequisites, you're able to access information that regular day-to-day people that you may come in contact with don't. And you can see it in artistry when you see like hip-hop artists or designers that are indigenous or have a higher concentration of melanin. They are still able to create like bomb-ass ideas, even if they're not in touch with themselves like that, even if they're not conscious like that, they're still able to create. So from what I was gathering for this next wave, we're going to have to be the ones in the forefront. We're going to have to get back into the practices that are sacred to us, that has been stored in our DNA that we're unlocking as I speak. So those gifts where you're able to communicate with your plant medicine, being able to communicate with the plants and the herbs. We didn't have courses, we didn't have classes and workshops. We did teach each other, we did educate each other, but I'm saying in the sense where there was structure in classes. A lot of it is you're in the fields and you're having communication. The true indigenous practices, they were engaging with the plant medicine. They were actually having communal expressions to be able to get the information and extract it so that they can help heal their collective, their community. So I'm quite literally saying we are able to communicate with the plants, with the herbs, with the trees, with nature, and get the information that we need. I'm quite literally saying that. And not everyone can do that. Now, I said that was a prerequisite as far as having a higher degree of melanin. And again, there are different types of melanin. One in particular that stood out was neuromelanin that I need to further research on my own. But there's different levels to melanin. And that first things first is like having that degree of melanin that I mentioned. So anywhere from 80 to 90%. Okay. I know some of us have been mixed up and diluted to a degree. Excuse me. But from the download that I received, that melanin is so potent that it will override in a lot of ways, even if there has been some mixing involved, that the energy is so strong, the energy signature is so strong that it will override in a lot of ways that whatever has been integrated or mixed with. That's how potent it is. But from what I'm gathering, the prerequisite is at least the 80 to 90 percentile. And from that, it's like you are then able, amongst other things, of course you have to heal, of course you have to learn your lessons, you have to do the inner work. It's just not a thing where it's just I can have it my way and do whatever I want to do. That's not what it is. It's giving you access to different levels of information that if you had a lower concentration, you would not. And from what I was gathering with my downloads they started probably 3 or 4 months ago as far as this access ability to retrieve this certain information. I do want to put this out there. This is not for those of you who want to use this in an egoic way, where you want to celebrate that you are better than someone or a higher caliber and all of this kind of stuff, where you want to then be condescending to other beings. That's not the point, and I'm seeing 1010. The point is for you to have that consciousness so that you can further explore that reality. That you can see how in a lot of ways you are limiting yourself as far as your experiences, right? And so from what I'm gathering, the information that we have access to depends heavily, because if you have a lower concentration, your perception is off when you come in contact with certain information. You won't get it like that. It won't make sense because you're not equipped to make it make sense. Whereas if there was a higher degree of melanin, you just get it. It's like a knowing. It's a feeling. It's a rhythm from what I'm getting. It's a rhythm. So it's like when you're getting that information, you don't have to have a certain chronological order, or it has to be some kind of structure. You're able to flow into whatever you're doing. Again, it's a rhythm. Okay? It's a rhythm. So from what I'm gathering during these downloads, you have to just be able to be open to the information, because you can limit yourself where you're thinking, no, that can't be possible. That's, why would it be set up like that? Hey, again, I don't make the rules. But for those of you who have at least that melanin access, you do need to, in fact, first evaluate, have you done the inner work before you start taking off and wanting to rule and dominate everything. Like, really look at yourself and see, have you done the inner work? Now, being a goddess, being a god, when you are announcing yourself as divine, then that comes with some form of authority. So if you have authority, then you can't be a victim. It doesn't make sense. Both of those things can't be in the same room. It just can't. So you survive certain things, right? And if you look at it with the right lens, you can see that those challenges, because you had all of those challenges and those hardships, you can actually say, hey, I must be on an advanced level. So look at this like a game, like a simulation. The higher the level that you go, the more challenging it is. The more is required of you, the more skills you need to have developed. The characters have to be upgraded. Your armor, more than likely, your tools or your backpack, whatever you have to improve those, so then you're able to fully defend yourself and experience that whole level of reality that you're about to go into, that new dome. And as you upgrade and up level within that exploration, especially, I like those simulation, like those games where you're going to different experiences and it's like a whole storyline. And so once you go through that storyline and you realize the characters that are in there are really catalysts for growth, for soul growth, for change, for development. Don't look at them as someone just being against you or agitators. Yes, they're agitators for change. And in a sense, you're agitating others to help them grow. So as you go up on these different levels, it gets more challenging. So if you're noticing that the ones that have a higher melanated concentration, they're going through a lot of struggle or rigidity as far as the system, as far as the matrix, as far as social conditions or constructs, more than likely is because they are on an advanced level. And I'm even hearing some of them on an accelerated level. So it's more than just seeing social injustice and this is some BS. Why are we always discriminated against? This is not fair. All of that. I want you to step back and look at it on an energetic level. How you are in an advanced level. And I'm going to be honest with you. I even got insight about the concept of ease. Yes, you do want ease in your life. Yes, you do want the ability to have flow and be in alignment and everything works out, right? But I know within the human experience, we will get bored if we always had everything come to us easy. We wouldn't be as resourceful. We wouldn't be as adaptable. We wouldn't be as creative. We wouldn't challenge ourselves as much if we didn't have some form of friction. How would you truly value ease without the opposite? The opposite of ease, you will be able to identify if something is off, right? So if you are going through a whole bunch of good times and the good times are rolling and everybody is having, they bottles up, pouring up and, popping bottles and everybody's celebrating, popping tags, we just having a good old time. Would you truly take out the time to express gratitude? Would you take out the time to honor self? Would you take out the time to cut things out of your diet that no longer serves you? It causes inflammation. It throws you off balance. You are not as clear as focused. You're not more as intentional or purposeful. It'll be like, why the heck are you here? But it adds to the color of your reality when you have those said challenges and experiences. And it brings up certain things, certain aspects within you that were hidden, that were laid dormant, that was on a programming wheel that you had in your subconscious that you didn't realize that was actually showing up in real time. So imagine your subconscious having this program like you're in a movie theater, and you know how where there's a person up on the upper level actually putting the film to play so that you can watch it on the screen, so the projector. So imagine what's going on in your subconscious is being projected into a screen of reality. And if you're not paying attention and you're not understanding that you're more than just experiencing life, that you actually have something in you that needs to be healed, uprooted, identified, addressed, embraced even, or integrated into your reality, then you're just going to be autopilot. Okay? So having that awareness, again, a lot of us are getting these downloads. I'm not just the only one. We are getting these downloads that there's more to life than what has been told to us. Clearly, you've been seeing discoveries showing up, getting more details of what's in the ocean or in the water, getting more details as far as what the pyramids are and what is under the pyramids, right? These infrastructures. So in order to truly get it, from what I'm gathering, a higher degree of melanation is necessary to truly get it. From what I'm seeing, the discoveries that we're getting outwardly, and that has been promoted and circulating for us to see, are actual hidden discoveries that are necessary on the inside. So that Ark of the Covenant, that God or Goddess, that divinity, the resurrection, the return to self, all of that is within you. And so that's why a lot of times we're fascinated by these stories of discovery, because we know that there is some form of connection within us, but we just don't know exactly what that is. And in some instances, we get so distracted and be on to the next thing, and then forget about that news of that thing, right? Those discoveries. But those revelations are necessary for us to connect the dots, that those discoveries are not in fact just discoveries, that is actually hopefully awakening the truth that you are the very vessel that holds all of that. Okay, that expansiveness, and to not limit yourself based on the day-to-day reporting to a 9-to-5 or having a business. It's more to that. And I just want you to see that there's more to life than what we have been told, what we've been experiencing. A lot of us are opening ourselves up to those new experiences, and I challenge you to do the same, because you will no longer look at your life as life just happening to you. But that's pretty much it for right now on what I want to share. Again, I didn't make the rules as far as this accessibility. It's time for, I'm even hearing the terminology changing of guards. So the last will be first and the first will be last type of concept is really reigning true. And you need to position yourself so that you can be ready for that transition. There's going to be a flip, a major one. And if you need help with that, feel free to DM me. I'm here. I'm Amethyst Goddess. And I am looking forward to the next shift that we're going to experience. So, love you guys. Know it's probably late in your area, but be well. Take care.